It wasn't until I was about 21 that I became aware of how the subconscious can influence the dreams you and I experience of a night or morning. Needless to say, I'm always extremely excited when my next guest gives up her time to come into the studio to talk dreams. And if you'd like to be part of the conversation, and I'd love you to be part of the conversation, you can send me a text on 0438 922 936, or you can call if you like, actually talk to someone. That's always good, I reckon. 1300 222 936 is the number. Jane Teresa Anderson, author and interpreter of dreams, thank you very much for coming in tonight.
It's an absolute pleasure, Paul.
Jane, for people who perhaps still regard dreams as maybe a little bit like reading tea leaves, what is the current understanding of how dreams work?
So our dreams are the result of our brain or our mind processing the last 1 to 2 days of all our experiences, both our conscious experiences and our unconscious experiences, to try to make sense of our world. So it's a bit like updating our mindset. Of course, our dreams don't actually look very much like the experiences of the last 1 to 2 days because they're kind of scrambled because the prefrontal cortex, which is the more logical part of the brain, really is pretty switched off, and it's left to the rest of our brain to kind of report and build the dream drama around that. So that's what's happening. It's all about updating your experiences. Ideally, you wake up in the morning with a whole new way of going about the world.
And this is something that again, is taken seriously because you yourself have studied at university level.
Yeah, I'm a scientist originally, and I actually my degree was in zoology, but I went on to specialise in developmental neurobiology, so how the nerves join up to the brain and how the nerves give information about the environment and about our senses to the brain. So it's not really so surprising all these years looking back, when I began to research dreams, to look back and say, yeah, that makes sense. I'm now helping people to understand how the brain and the nerves are interpreting our experiences. So I'm kind of coming to the other end of it.
Can you recall your first dream where you thought, gee, that was interesting. I'd really like to know more about how the mind works?
Well, I remember so many dreams from childhood, and I'm sure I had that feeling, though I never thought that I would actually grow up to work in this field. But my dreams as a child really intrigued me on the level of, I guess beyond just, oh, that was an interesting story. I was already seeded as a tiny child with, well, why did I have that dream? And what, why? Is it another part of my life? Or, so the intrigue and the curiosity was built in there from an early stage.
And Jane Teresa, a call has already come through from Gill in Melbourne, who has a dream she'd like some advice on. G'day, Gill.
Oh, hi there.
Thank you for calling in tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Paul.
What is the dream you'd like some advice on?
Well, it's a very curious dream, so I'm intrigued to think what we could make of it. But I'm somewhere, I'm not at home, but I'm in a living room which appears to have a big swimming pool in the middle which looks like a bath. So it's white and it's got bath edges up to the wall, but then on one side it's got a platform with some lounge chairs in it. One of them's a recliner. So I don't think there's anything in the bath, but there's things around the outside, so it's very weird. Anyway, I leave and I go out into the street wherever I am, and I see my daughter who's not happy. She's looking upset, and I ask her what's wrong, and she's not really willing to tell me, but I know she's very upset. And I said, well, come back to where we are and we'll talk about it and we'll sort it out. So we go back, and there's 3 people on the recliners in the sort of on the pool area, and they jump up and leave all of a sudden. And then I notice that the pool is full of water. And we look at it, and there's stuff around the edges, clothes or towels, and there's also a plug, but I know I can't reach, it's too deep. Anyway, suddenly the water goes, and we assess the situation, and we look at it, and my daughter and I start sorting and salvaging these clothes or the washing around the edges. So it's a very curious dream.
So the idea was that you weren't actually happy with the water being in the pool. You wanted to pull the plug and you wanted to get rid of the water so you could salvage the clothes. Is that right?
Yes, it seems to be that. Yes, I was a bit alarmed that there was the water in the pool.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I could get it out, but it went by itself somehow.
That's really good, isn't it? It's funny because mostly we do like water in our pools, so here's a reverse situation.
Well, this pool's in the middle of the living room, though. It's like a big bath.
Taking up so much space, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's a sense there that in the couple of days before your dream, there was probably something in your life that was taking up so much space and was in your way and was actually, perhaps it was a bit emotional, because we can't take a dream dictionary approach to dreams, but often water in our dreams will tend to represent our emotions because we think of water emotionally. You know, we think of a calm pool or a depressing rain shower or a raging torrent. So there's some sense with the recliners and the relaxation, it's almost as if there should be some kind of emotional relaxation going on here, but this isn't good. This is not how I want things to be. And so it may be that the sense that you get about whatever's happening for your daughter, or more importantly, whatever's happening for you, there's a sense of, yeah, okay, if we just sort of get down to the emotions of it, sort all that out, salvage what we can, then maybe I can think more clearly. So it's kind of like being a bit deluged with an emotional matter that's been getting in your way. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think it does. But I'm from my point of view, like, I really do think my daughter has some sadness that I can't help her with, or she doesn't want to talk about. And it was her birthday a couple of days before I had this dream, and I think I'm worried about her. And what's the dream telling me? That I am worried about her, and I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, and we're sorting it out, or what else can we?
That's the really interesting question, because what our dreams do is they reflect ourselves, they reflect our conscious and our unconscious mindset. So let's imagine that you were wrong and your daughter is actually totally happy with her life, which probably isn't true because you've probably got a handle on it. But if she was totally happy, but you were a stressed out mother and thought that she wasn't happy, you could still have the same dream. So the dream is always about you and about your feelings and your worries and your concerns about your daughter. So, you know, one thing is you might just wake up and think, I really do want to chat with my daughter. Or another thing might be that you might think, well, how is worrying about my daughter actually getting in the way of my life? What steps can I take to spend less time stressing and get my living room space back to myself and sort out a few things?
Yes, that sounds good, because I do want to deal with this, and I do want to have the skill or courage to ask her and then resolve it so that I'm not worried about something. You're right, could be completely imaginary.
One approach you could take is just to say to her, look, I've had this dream, and describe the dream and say that I understand that this dream means that I'm really worried about you. So do you mind if we have a chat? I want to know if I'm worried about you because there really is something you'd like help with, or whether it's all just me, and sort of frame it as, can you help me?
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. I think I'll do that. That's good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Jill, thank you so much for your call, and I hope it all goes well.
Thank you so much. What a lovely piece of interpretation to have. Thank you both.
Jill, thank you for calling.
Bye.
Bye. You're listening to ABC Radio Hobart and ABC Northern Tasmania. It's 9:15, and if you'd like to be part of the conversation, and I'd love you to be part of the conversation about dreams, maybe something that you've seen in your dream that you found kind of curious and you'd like some advice or some thoughts about it, you can text on 0438 922 936, or you can call, just as Jill did, all the way from Melbourne, I might add. Thank you, Jill, on 1300 222 936. And Jane Teresa, a dream that someone I was talking to in the office had this morning, actually, which I wrote down because it was a little bit complicated, so bear with me, and I just wanted to make sure that I got it right. They were telling me about this dream, that this very morning they dreamt of a lion getting into their backyard that was chasing a stray dog. They yelled out to their partner, but they couldn't talk. They found that they didn't actually have a voice. Then when they found their voice, their partner was so busy on the phone working from home that they didn't respond. And all they could do was stop their own dog from getting outside and watch as the lion devoured the stray dog. And they were curious as to what on earth that might mean.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Again, you can't take a dream dictionary approach, of course, but often when you dream of animals, it's because they represent some kind of energy that you're processing or you're experiencing in life that you don't understand enough to symbolize with people in your dreams. You know, if we're dealing with something in life, we will often bring up a person that kind of represents that for us. When it's like, I've got this energy and I can't quite put a name on it, but it feels like, we will often get an animal in our dream. And the sense of this lion in the dream, ideally I'd be asking the dreamer, you know, what's the personality of a lion? What does a lion mean to you? But the sense of this lion was that it was leaping over the borders and their own domestic dog was in danger and the person was in danger as well. So it sounds to me like there was a feeling that the person's borders were feeling encroached upon, that she or he was feeling, I'm not, a bit like Gill's dream, I guess, really, not feeling entirely comfortable at home. There's some kind of threat that I perceive around me. And often it's interesting because lions are often seen as really strong, courageous kind of animals. So it may even be that the dreamer actually has a strength and a courage that she or he would like to bring into life, but is at the moment sort of holding at bay, particularly because it was difficult to speak in the dream. There was no voice. So it may be that, yeah, look, I've actually got the voice of a lion. There are things that I would like to say, but I'm actually tending to be a bit more domesticated like my dog and not make these big noises. And so there's this kind of conflict between maybe the strength and the voice and the stray thoughts, because the lion went for the stray dog rather than keeping things neat and tidy, something along those lines.
I think one of the things they said that they found interesting was the fact that their partner was on the phone and too busy to actually take notice. And I wondered perhaps if there might be perhaps the fact that their partner might be working too much and this person feels that they can't break through and communicate, maybe?
Yes, I've got the voice of a lion. I would really like to do this. So on one level, you're absolutely right. We can also always go deeper in dreams and say that everyone in a dream represents something about the dreamer, a little bit like Gill's dream. She dreamt about her daughter, but it was really about herself and her feelings about her daughter. So the working hard from home might also be an aspect of the dreamer thinking, you know, there's some parts of me that think I've just got to keep my head down, I've got to keep working, and I'm not listening to this other part of myself that would really just like to get up and say something, break through, find my voice.
And Jane, another text has come through. This is from Graham, who's curious whether or not animals dream. I think Graham thinks that his dog might be dreaming, yelping and making noises in its sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. If you put electrodes into the brain of a sleeping dog, or most mammals, I think, you can see that the brain is going through the kind of activity that we associate with dreams. So we know they are dreaming. When the little legs are running, we assume that they're dreaming about running. We don't actually know that, and we don't know how sophisticated their dreams are. Not all animals dream, or we're not aware that all animals dream. There are some odd ones. One that comes to mind that I read about recently was, I think it was, of all things, it was octopus.
Oh, really?
Which is really interesting. I wish I had the information at my fingertips. We all know that the octopus has 8 brains, doesn't have like a neural complex in each of its tentacles. So it's not even got a very sophisticated kind of brain system. But I was reading about an experiment that you could do, which did seem to suggest that they go into some kind of process which is similar to dreaming. But largely, we do know that mammals dream. And I think whales, dolphins, can't quite remember, but certainly not all. We don't know about all animals.
And certainly on Graham's point, I can certainly suggest that miniature dachshunds dream, because one of ours will often be wagging his tail and will wake me up in the middle of the night. You just hear this thump, 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 and lying there asleep, wagging his tail, paws just sort of twitching slightly, but it's very, very sweet. Not that you want to be woken up by a wagging tail at about 3 a.m. in the morning, I must say, but I can think of worse things. Jane, I'm curious about how perhaps alcohol or tobacco, substances like that might influence dreams, or if they do at all.
They do. Alcohol's a really interesting one. If you drink quite a lot of alcohol, the first few hours of your sleep are probably going to be dreamless. Normally, after an hour and a half, we enter the first REM, rapid eye movement period, which is our first really vivid dream. Then after about an hour and a half, we enter another REM period, and so it goes on, but the REM periods get longer and longer towards morning. But if you've drunk a lot of alcohol, your brain often doesn't work that way, so you may sleep, but you don't actually enter the dreaming period. So if you wake up early, if you've drunk a lot of alcohol and you wake up after 4 to 5 hours and get up anyway, you're going to feel pretty bad, not only because of the alcohol, but also because your body hasn't been through its natural dreaming process, which is healthy for us. But if you stay asleep for a long time, what you get is a thing called REM rebound dreams. So you get rapid eye movement rebound. So all the dreams that you missed and all that dreaming time that you missed in the first few hours are going to come crashing in major, vivid dreams at the end of that alcohol-fueled sleep.
Wow.
Other drugs, I'm not sure about tobacco, but other medical drugs, some of those quieten dreams, others create quite conflicting and busy dreams, but definitely, and some medical drugs that we take, pharmaceutical drugs, often result in dreams of attack, defense, war, conflict. And I sometimes wonder whether that's your body going, what's this you've taken? What's this what's this making me feel this way? Or what's affecting my body this way, and kind of fighting it off.
And there was a documentary I watched recently, I think it was on SBS actually, I'm not sure, but mentioned something about cannabis being a dream suppressant, that will actually stop your dreams.
Yes, I think it does. That's right. So in the long run, not very good, because we do know that even if we don't remember our dreams, we do actually need to dream for our mental, emotional stability, as well as for good physical, physiological reasons as well.
And if you have a dream-related question, you can call on 1300 222 936 and put the question to Jane Teresa Anderson, who's an author and dream analysiser, a word I was trying to avoid, and then I found myself in the middle of it, not being able to get out. Or you can, of course, text on 0438 922 936 a question, and I think there are more texts and calls coming through, Jane, but I'll ask you this one that came through a little bit earlier. There wasn't a name attached to it, though. What happens when a person experiences night terrors, waking during sleep and seeing things that aren't there? Is there anything that triggers them?
So an actual real night terror will occur in the non-dream period. A person will wake up really scared, maybe walk around, maybe see horrific visions, but they're not actually part of the dreaming. What's being described there sounds to me a little bit more like waking up in a dreaming period, very frightened, in great terror. And what will happen is, if for some people, if you're woken up by a really frightening dream and you open your eyes, some part of your brain will be looking around going, yep, that's my bedroom, I'm seeing my bedroom. And the other part of your brain is still dreaming. So there's monsters happening or whatever the scary thing was that woke you up. So you've got your dreams superimposed on your bedroom. And that can really freak you out, of course. And if that happens, and some people call that night terrors, if that happens, it's really just a matter of breathing deeply to yourself and saying, I'm just a bit unco. I've woken up before my dream has finished. Just take a few deep breaths, let the dream go, and I'm awake.
And a few more texts coming in, Jane, and it's 5 to 9 on ABC Radio Hobart and ABC Northern Tasmania. Hello, Jane. My dreams have always been epic. I have 3 children. The youngest is now 24. When I dream of them, they're always around 7 or 8 years of age.
That's very interesting. So I don't know how many years she's been dreaming of, she or he has been dreaming for 7 or 8 years, but if these dreams can mean one or two things. One, it can take you back to a time period when your children were 7 or 8. So you may be dreaming, you're always processing what's happened in the last 1 to 2 days. But if that resonates with stuff from your past, then the past will come up. So it may be that there was a significant event when the children were aged 7 to 8 that caused an issue or caused a feeling, or even, that she would love to go back to those years and she reminisces and would like that. And so the kids may come up to represent, back then when the kids were 7 or 8. The other thing, and it's about equal, that can happen is that even though it's your own children that you see in the dream, you're often dreaming about yourself when you were 7 or 8. So it can be of something, again, dramatic or wonderful or whatever happened when you were 7 or 8, and it's kind of resonating with what's happening now. Then the dream may come up, and it's about that.
And quite a few more texts coming through as well. Thank you very much for that one. Veronica, though, has called up on 1300 222 936 and with 4 minutes to go. Hello, Veronica.
Hello, Veronica.
Hello, Veronica. Are you there, Veronica? It helps, of course, if the person behind the microphone presses the right button. Hello, Veronica.
Hello.
Hello, Veronica. That was completely my fault. How are you?
Yeah, good. I've got the radio on at the same time talking to you. Shall I turn it off?
Yes. Look, if you could turn that off, and Jane and I will chat amongst ourselves as we wait for you to turn that down.
I've already turned it off. So is that what we do in day-to-day life? We turn off our daytime and then we dream.
Perfect, Veronica.
Lovely
Love
segue. Veronica, we've only got a couple of minutes left. What was your question for Jane Teresa?
Well, I've got a few, and the octopus teacher, my sister reckons we should all really watch. So that's interesting. Why do people shut down and do not remember dreams? Is there fear of spirituality and fear of hurt as well? Can dreams be spiritual? And, that sort of thing. And also maybe drugs and alcohol, people use that too because of the fear of... I've got so many questions.
Veronica, we've only got about 2 minutes left, so I'll hand you over to Jane.
I can do that. Okay, so number great questions, Veronica. Number one, a lot of people stop remembering their dreams because they had a few scary dreams, and some part of them says, I don't want to remember my dreams anymore, and so they don't. That's the most common reason.
They do switch off.
They do absolutely switch off. You're still dreaming, but you're not remembering your dreams. And can dreams be spiritual? A really interesting question. So your dreams are about you and they're reflecting your experiences of life. So if you are a very spiritual person and if you've spent some element of the last couple of days asking yourself spiritual questions or interpreting your experiences in the spiritual way, then your dream will also process in that way. It will process your spiritual inquiry, your state of spiritual awareness, and so you can look in your dream and see that. For someone that's not spiritual, their dreams will reflect what else is going on for them. So as always, we look into the dream and then able to say, this is what's happening for you at the moment. This is where you're at consciously and unconsciously. Isn't that interesting?
And
wonderful. I believe in angels, but anyway.
Veronica, thank you very much for your call. I'm sorry I'm going to have to leave it there because the news is coming up in about a minute's time, and sadly the news waits for no man or woman. A text, Jane Teresa, from JP. Hi, I dream, wake up and maybe get up, have a drink, go back to bed and pick up the dream where I left prior to getting up. That's very impressive.
It's very impressive, and so many people would love to know how you do that. Most of you go back and kind of get a slightly warped change and it goes off at another angle, but that is a fantastic skill.
JP, thank you very much for your text, and Veronica too. Thank you for phoning in a minute ago. Jane Teresa Anderson, thank you for your time this evening. Great to chat to you. News time now, though. It's 9 o'clock.